It's a beautiful morning. I think I'll go outside for a while and just smile. Just taking some clean, fresh
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another KrebsCOHO replay cast. Now, following in suite with the replays that have been coming out lately, this is going to be a user-submitted game. So as I was saying, this is totally open to all of you guys to send in your replays, and hopefully it will be casted. Now, I am trying to do a cast on every single game, whether how good they are or not. Now, this is going to be a game featured or sent in by Cheezburglar. Now, quite a common face on the channel. I have casted games from him before, and he is going to be playing up here on the northern side of Langres as Cheezburglar as the Americans, the red team, versus his opponent vykaVyka, playing as the blue Wehrmacht. Now, as you guys noticed, I said, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about demographics a little tiny bit. Apparently, my channel has about 5% of the viewers are female. Now that's actually quite surprising that there are actually quite a number of females that play this game. And really I shouldn't be surprised about that because one of the co-hosts, Greatness, is, well, a girl after all, Tamar. And so it's actually good to know that not only us males are hardy testosterone sort of humans like to play this game, it's good to see our estrogen partners play this as well. But anyway, not enough about the hormones. Also, another sort of interesting thing that I thought was cool was the fact that so many mature people watch this channel as well. The most people that watch this are between the ages of 35 to 44. The least amount, and actually one of the most surprising, is between the ages of 13 to 17. Now, maybe that's due in part to maybe consoles. Younger generations like playing the consoles, and maybe the older people have been playing the PC since, you know, since PC gaming came around, so that's what they're used to. So anyway, it's pretty cool that we have such a diverse range of people on this sort of channel watching these sort of videos, and it's just really appreciative that, you know, that sort of stuff happens. So anyway, let's talk about this game now. So we have a basic rifleman start coming out from Cheezburglar, his little barracks, built as far away from his HQ as possible, so very good. Unusual capping order from the Wehrmacht. They've outstretched all the way over here, but not capping up this little manpower point, so they are sort of cutting themselves off. They will hopefully reconnect that, and it does look like their sort of infantry are coming around to this area and going for that, so pretty cool. We also have the capping order of the Americans going along the right hand side. So if I was actually going to comment on this, and I'm going to be very critical of this game because I know it's not the absolute best, but let's be critical then because it's not the absolute best. So they're going on the right hand side. If I was going to do anything, I would use my first engineer squad to build down this barracks, get my second engineer squad to grab this fuel point and keep on going down this western side, and then the first engineer squad that built the barracks would cap this fuel with the riflemen connecting it with this manpower point. And just that way, it's the most efficient and optimal way to cap away, rather than going for one side entirely with both engineers and riflemen. At least you can sort of be diversive and cap away at different sides of the map. So we have an MG in the house coming out from the Wehrmacht, suppressing this little rifleman squad. Obviously out of the range now, so this MG can't do that much. But, funnily enough, this MG, as formidable as it might be, especially in a house, there is plenty of tactical options to take it out. For example, the hedges over here make this a perfect opportunity for engineers to come around here with their flamethrowers and just massacre the MG. And wow, I actually predicted it very well, so well done, Mr. Cheezburglar, for actually noticing what I was thinking. And coming around the side, flamethrower is just about to get in there, but I'm not exactly sure what they're doing. They're going along the side. Well, I suppose that's actually a very good idea. Personally, I would have stayed just over here on this bush, but I can actually understand that. If you wanted to go in through the little side of the building where the least amount of windows are, then maybe that might be a more viable option. But anyway, Cheezburglar, get out of there, get out of there, get out of there. Just making it out before all this reinforcements from the Wehrmacht came in. 2 Volksgrenadier squads, Pioneers, and 1 upgrade with the flamethrower. So we have 2 flamethrowers, 1 from the Engineers and 1 from the Pioneers coming out. Obviously, this Rifleman squad are terrified. They're shaking in their boots because they are about to be aggressed by a huge mob. They're focusing on the Pioneer flamethrowers and managing to take them out as well. Those Pioneer flamethrowers are obviously too cocky there, getting a bit too close. Now, the Pioneers, 2-man squads, they're very, very fragile, so never aggress Riflemen head-on running into them. Even with flamethrowers, does not matter. They might have great attack, but they don't have great defense. So do not do that. Keep your Engineers back, or your Pioneers back, and make sure they are not focus fired on. But anyway, so we do have the Americans on the retreat right now, sort of trying to circle around this building just to prevent the MG from setting itself down and suppressing the squad. As you guys can see, just constantly moving about before this MG can actually set itself up, doing a decent amount of damage on this MG, and I actually like what they're doing. What's a very good strategy to do when you're trying to circle around the building is to shift click. So shift click around in a circle around the building so that you sort of make a queue up circular path around the building. Thus, you can keep on shooting the MG whilst it can't even target you. The only thing that can target you is the little SMGs that the other members of the MG squad have. Okay, so 6 minutes into the game so far, and we have just loads and loads of infantry. Let's see what's happening over here. Just a massive sort of swarm of infantry setting up. The MG setting up kind of in an awkward position, so this is where I'm going to get very, very critical. The MG, as you guys can see, not enough range. He should definitely realize, I'm not even exactly sure what he's doing now. He should realize he should set up along the fence. He has the most amount of defense there. And in the open where he is right now, he has hardly any range and basically almost no defense, especially with such a badly damaged 2-man squad. If he brought it up to the fence, had all these Volksgrenadiers up here at the front as well, then he would do a lot better. But he did manage to throw away the Riflemen. The Riflemen are being absolutely chased away right now. They are having a difficult time, but now the MG is having a difficult time, badly damaged and taken out. And that is what I mean. If you have no cover and such a badly damaged squad, then you are so prone to suppression or not even suppression, just dying. So this one Volksgrenadier squad was almost taken out along with their brother MGs. But luckily managing to get away and fight another day. But we also do have another Rifleman squad aggressing. All these squads reinforced, and here comes another massive swarm of men. The MG properly set up behind the hay bale this time. I like it, I like it, I like it. Okay. And if you guys noticed in the new changes on Longria, these hay bales are actually different. They're more realistic than the ones from 2.601. And rightly so, I actually like these hay bales more than anything. They're actually sort of shorter as well. But anyway, so we do have these Riflemen and the Engineers coming around for a flank. If the Wehrmacht will see this or not, we will have to see. So let's see what's happening. Are they going to notice? And it doesn't look like it. Ooh, no, there they go. So they're going to be turning around for a flank. Is the MG going to actually turn around? This is being quite late. The MG is not even turning around. I'm not exactly sure why it's not doing this. Maybe it's expecting a sort of frontal flank coming this way, but no, that's not happening. And it looks like the Pioneers were just taken out, so kind of big losses for the Americans at the moment. Especially, or the Wehrmacht, should I say, and the Volksgrenadiers in this house, badly damaged. 1 man left, and the flamethrowers keep on going. We have Veterancy 1 on the Engineers, and why did they retreat? I have absolutely no idea when they were so close to taking out a Volksgrenadier squad. Perhaps this was a mass sort of selection of units and an accidental retreat. I am not exactly sure, but they could easily have taken out that one Volksgrenadier who is still just running about, doing a few laps around Longria to get himself fit. So anyway, we're going to be talking about the build order. We do have the supply yard coming down from Mr. Cheezburglar and also getting in motor pool. So he has his M8. Very, very slow teching for the Wehrmacht. 9 minutes into the game and not even a sign of the Krieg barracks out. I'm not exactly sure if he has reached T2 even yet. But this is very slow as I don't know, I don't want to boast, but as not even an expert, but I prefer playing the Wehrmacht, since the Wehrmacht are my main choice of faction. Coming from a player of this perspective, I would definitely have to critique him on not teching up fast enough. The Wehrmacht especially need to tech up as fast as possible because you have to respond to the early strategies of the Americans. So they like to get out their stuff as fast as possible, such as their M8 rushes or their bar rushes and so on and so forth. Obviously, a huge sign that the M8 was going to come out was the fact that there was no upgrades on the riflemen. We did not even see grenades, we did not see stickies, we did not see bars, especially. So that was a very sure sign of an early tank rush, either T-17s or an M8. And that's why he should have already had the Krieg barracks before this M8 even came out. He should already have gotten grenadiers, possibly a pack. Now it looks like these retreating men are having a very, very bad path of retreat at the moment. But luckily making it through, only losing one of their men in the meantime as when they were running through that. What do we have? We have the Krieg barracks coming down from the Wehrmacht, so at last responding, but unfortunately kind of late. I wish Cheezburglar was a bit more frontal with his M8 whilst not actually taking any Panzerfaust shots and taking damage. If he was more frontal and more careful with the M8, he could have done a lot more damage. For example, he could have gotten in the Wehrmacht's base and harassed him. He could easily avoid Panzerfaust, he could easily harass, since there's not even any mines down. These players don't seem very keen on their mines. Obviously a sure sign that this is not an absolute pro expert game. This is most likely intermediate, as they know what they are doing. However, they have to pick up the notch on the micro and sort certain advanced tactics. So that is how you can tell whether players are intermediate, beginner, or professional. Just you have certain levels of activity that go on the map. Okay, so we got more of aggression going on. We have the little flanking pioneers going about. They're trying to go in the building. Unfortunately, the building is a bit far away from the riflemen, so they won't be able to throw their columns and plumes of flames. But okay, too many men, too many Wehrmacht Volksgrenadiers, so these riflemen were obviously going to lose that battle. So they are retreating whilst we have the M8 fully repaired, upgraded with armored skirts and a 50 cal on top of it. So interesting stuff, quite standard stuff for the Greyhounds as well. A little MG in this house, not going to do much except suppress the rifleman squads, automatically attacking them rather than the M8. Plus M8 is going to do a decent amount of damage and most likely take out this MG if the MG does not move. Now as you guys can see, down to 1 health or 1 man already. And what looks like to be a sort of, I would say the Axis are sort of winning this in terms of territory at the moment. But we do have the Americans with a more aggressive strategy. Yes, they have a more aggressive strategy. They have more units out that are capable of doing damage than the Wehrmacht at the moment. The Wehrmacht only have 1 pack out. Do they have anything else? They do have 1 Grenadier squad. Okay, let's go back to my perspective of the Wehrmacht. I personally would have skipped T2 in this stage. Let's flip on over to vykaVyka. vykaVyka had pretty much a very solid control of the map, and as I was saying that he has solid control of the map, he has most of the points. Look at his fuel, he has 197. Now T2, whilst it is a good way to counter the M8 and such, it's not the absolute best way when you have such amount of fuel. The best way would actually be to skip T2 altogether and go straight for T3 and get your Sturm Armory down. Go for possibly Stugs or Geschutzwagen. Also think about Pumas, because the Pumas would do very well against these riflemen. I mean, Grenadiers, for example, are very good, but in order to make them decent against the bars, you need to upgrade them with veterancy, and that becomes sort of a hassle. And the packs, I don't know, I've got a sort of bad impression about the packs. I think the packs are sort of, they're not useless, don't get me wrong, they are very good anti-tanks, but they're very, very stationary, and they're very easy to lose if you do not support them properly. So that's why I think it's more viable at the moment to actually go for T3. If you're down on fuel, for example, you might want to consider going for T2. I'd also like to see a medic bunker. This is what a lot of players forget when they go for such a heavy amount of infantry. There are loads of infantry on the field, as you guys can see. There are plenty of Volksgrenadiers, plenty of MGs, and what I really would like to see at the moment is a medic bunker and also a medic tent from the American. Those would be such cheap investments, yet pay off many times over through the course of the game. I almost make it a necessity whenever I'm playing a game, even when I don't have loads and loads of infantry to do it, because usually it's an investment that'll pay off over the game. Okay, so this pack is obviously making the MA quite scared. The MA really does not want to move. We do have a flanking squad of bars on the side. The MA doing a few hot shots on the Grenadiers. Oh my gosh, here we go. We had no sign whatsoever of a doctrine choice from the Americans, and all of a sudden we just saw a large strafing run, totally obliterating the pack, totally obliterating the MG, and a whole bunch of Volksgrenadiers. Huge losses. It doesn't even look like a sort of retreat even being initiated by the Wehrmacht. They just keep their guys there and just lose them. I'm not exactly sure the reasoning behind that, but very good job by the American, by Cheezburglar, for just not even introducing any doctrine whatsoever until all of a sudden the strafing run came down. So obviously he's gone for airborne right now. He obviously has a load of ammunition if he's done something like that. And actually no, he does not have much ammunition. So he must have been saving up what he had. Obviously not spending anything on grenades and such or stickies to be thrown. So saving up what ammunition he had to launch one very successful strafing run. So well done for that. The Wehrmacht are very much so down on the manpower, the amount of their army at the moment. Okay, so let's see what else is happening on the field. We do have a bit of cutting off that happened from the Wehrmacht on the American side. So the Americans basically have no resources whatsoever, but as soon as this is recapped, the Americans will get a lot more resources. And what is this? This is some sort of attack coming down. Maybe it's a firestorm, or there could be a defensive sort of mortar barrage. And yes, the Wehrmacht has gone for his defensive doctrine along the right-hand side, and he has gotten that sort of little mortar barrage, so he can call that down on a defensive position. A very good strategy is whenever your opponent is catching or capturing a strategic point, don't throw it down straight away. Wait until the point is just about captured, because what a lot of players do, they might look at the point initially just to make sure that there's nothing happening and then go away, so they don't mind it after a certain point, and then they obviously won't be there when before the point is captured. So a very good way to kill off the infantry squad when you use that defensive mortar in such a way. So this very frontal little pioneer being too frontal yet again, very close to dying there. Now I keep on stressing this, but the pioneers are so fragile. You gotta get a feel of the health of all your units, just when to pull them back and when to keep them forward. Okay, so loads and loads of Grenadiers at the moment. No veterancy, that is very bad. The Grenadiers should be at least veterancy 2, so they do not take as much bullet damage from the bars. They do get their, I believe, elite armor. It's not heroic armor, it's elite armor. Upon reaching veterancy 2, I believe. And as you guys can see, absolutely getting mauled. Now, I believe that is veterancy 2. I don't think it's veterancy 3. For some reason, I've just got this switch in my head. Maybe it's veterancy 3, maybe it's veterancy 2. Last I checked, it was veterancy 2. I don't believe it's changed to 2.602. But anyway, that is not important. We can obviously find that out on a statistical website. So anyway, so a bit more engagements over here. We have a AT gun coming out and an MA as well. A little engagement, and we do have the grenades coming down from the riflemen, managing to almost clear out this grenadier squad and finished off by the rest of the remaining riflemen. So this is very bad at unit preservation. And as you guys can see, 19 minutes into the game, this is obviously, in the beginning of the game, it was quite good micro, quite good preservation of their units, but it obviously sort of went downhill afterwards. And this is sort of a common sign of intermediates, is that they start losing their ability to play well after a certain amount of time. And that's what we're seeing here. So basically just losing everything he has. Grenadiers getting way too close for comfort. No, not even having any cover whatsoever. They should at least be behind the hay bales here. Getting Confederacy once, so that's good, but too late. I believe Flamethrower's Pioneer was taken out of the building. Very atrocious, very extremely terrible, atrocious unit preservation, and there we go, the end of the game. So the Wehrmacht pretty much lost everything. I think he must have given up. But, okay, quick recap. Basically, what I would have recommended for the Wehrmacht is to probably have gone T3. If they went for T2, to go for their Veterancy 2 immediately. They definitely had the fuel to do so, because if they had the Veterancy 2, they would have much better survivability against the Riflemen. Unit preservation, keep up your micro the entire game. If you realize your game is becoming a bit sloppy, as long as you have a conscious sort of notice of that, then you can always improve your game on the fly and just start playing like you were at the beginning with loads of micro and playing good, basically. So for the Americans, no comment really. They were pretty much doing a very standard American strategy. So if you don't want to play too risky, you might as well just play a normal standard American strategy. Why not be safe, right? Only thing I can comment on was the little capping order at the beginning. I would have just changed that up a little bit. But anyway, guys, you can send in your replays to me at KrebsCOHO@hotmail.co.uk. I will cast your game, and I hopefully will get around to it. Now, anyway, guys, I hope you all have a very nice day, a good night, and many, many, many good days to come. So this is KrebsCOHO, and see you guys later.